Okay, yep, here we are again. So I've lost patience buzzing little pieces of scrap together, and I'm certainly not anywhere near proficient at doing this at all. And I think my biggest problem is I'm not using the foot pedal. Which is more or less required, really, to do aluminum. Not so much stainless and mild steel, but if you really want to do aluminum properly, you need to vary your amperage. I got nerve damage in my back, and my legs don't work worth a damn to begin with. I certainly can't precisely control a foot pedal for a welder like this. So I'm gonna I don't have one yet, but one way or another I'm gonna have to purchase some kind of a hand amp controller, and there's a lot of different kinds. The problem is with this welder specifically, it's kind of a new welder, and like I've contacted some of the companies about some of their different types of controllers, and they're like, chances are we can set you up with something and we can probably control the welder. It probably has a common potentiometer, value to it. And I've heard of people putting potentiometers that didn't exactly match up in terms of the ohm sweep on them, and they still worked fine. So one way or another, I'm sure there's at least one of these different types of hand controllers will probably work with this welder. So I need to get into that. What I've been doing is pulsing, because the machine has pulse, and it's been just constant, tinkering with the machine, the high amperage part of the pulse, and then the background amperage part of the pulse frequency, how often it pulses per second, and it's been a whole lot of messing around. And then you get in to do something else, you start doing a vertical up on the side of the boat or something like that, and it completely changes. It's a losing battle. It's stupid, and it's a huge waste of time. It does work, but I mean, don't be fooled by the way this weld looks, because a lot of that weld was gone over twice. The weld looked like horse shit, and out of all of the welds that are going to be in this boat, this one is going to be really the one that's visible from the outside of the boat. Everything else is going to be down in there. So I really wanted this weld to look good, and so like I said, most of it's been ground and then pulsed back over with a higher amperage and with a slow pulse frequency, what do I got it set at? 0.4 times or something like that per second. So it's a real slow. It's almost got the pulse frequency setting like all the way down on the machine, and you can kind of grind a goofed up spot that don't look all that great, and you can just go back over it. And if you turn the amperage up a little bit higher from where you had it before, it'll actually go through and burn it in a little bit further. It's basically welding over it with the filler, the correct amount of filler rod already there, and then it just burns it in a little bit further. It's just a stupid way of doing it. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's going over everything twice. Not everything, but a lot of, at least this weld in particular, it was gone over twice to make sure that it looked good. So yeah, I got more research to do. I got more people to talk to before I can get the proper controller. But in the meantime, I want progress to continue to be made on this boat. So I guess this boat has turned into my my scapegoat that I'm gonna learn how to TIG weld on, which is probably not the greatest approach. A boat that you're gonna put you and your loved ones in and go and bash it up and down a river. You probably shouldn't learn how to weld on something like that, but anyways. So, but the one thing that was still, I don't know, it was kind of up in the air, is I hadn't, the side of this is all done. And so this is actually welding to the boat itself. The whatever the hell it got, what the hell was the alloy? 5052, I think. And this is, I don't know, I can't remember what sheets are. They're not 6061, I don't think, but, and that was using 4043 filler, and it burns in really nice, welds really nice. We put just the right amount of relief on this, so we didn't get into that seam because there's sealant in there. So it's essentially welded just to the outside of the old transom, basically. So, but it's going to be tied in multiple places on the inside. I think what the plan is in here, I mean, we'll cut the hole out once the perimeter is welded for the for the pump to go through. I'll probably have to weld the bottom down there, the bottom of that hole, from the inside, because it goes like right down to the very bilge of the boat, so I could get in there to fabricate this intake flange. And this hole will be smaller on the outside. It doesn't need to be quite as big as it is on the piece that we cut out in here. So we'll have to, I think with the hole cut out, we'll come in the hole here and probably clamp a something substantial across the whole boat and try and pull this thing into the outer piece and then weld it. And the stringers are going to terminate on the original transom, so they're probably going to be 2 inches wide. It's probably going to be 2x6 rectangle tube on the stringers, and with them being 2 inches wide, I think I'm going to take 3-inch flat bar, like 3/16 or something like that, go from the bottom of the boat up all the way to this tube, where in line with where the stringers terminate. So they'll be welded to that piece of flat bar that essentially will travel from the bottom all the way up. You'll have 2 of them uprights that we'll have to weld to the inside one, and then partly the outside one as they go up. So, and then so once I can get the flat bar in there and get this piece sandwiched back on there and welded back on and straightened out, then the transom should be done. So it's going somewhat quickly. I spent most of this weekend, it's Sunday night, getting this cut out, getting it cleaned up, getting it fitted, and I don't know, probably halfway welded, I guess I would say now. I haven't done the bottom and I haven't done that side yet. So yeah, one other thing I thought about too is maybe, considering I got this going all the way down to the very bottom of the boat, and it's pretty thick, the Berkeley drain plug winds up on the transom housing, like kind of far up. It's kind of like way up here. I debated on, maybe it's not one that you use every time, but maybe in the very bottom here you could take a thick, like Schedule 80 aluminum pipe bung or something like that, and put a brass plug in it, pipe plug, right in the very bottom, so you're physically draining as much of the water out of the boat as possible. But I guess we'll get a look at that when I get the transom housing up on here and screwed on after the hole is cut out of it. And We may leave the transom as is after that, but eventually, I'm sure I talked about it before, eventually I want to have a kind of like a swim deck coming off of the back of this, a couple feet, to make it a little easier on my gimpy ass getting back up into the boat over at the sandbar. So yeah, we're still going slow, but at least I'm not over there sitting on the bench welding pieces of scrap together. We're actually making progress. Slow, very, very slow and steady progress. But so yeah, that'll probably about do her. I will check back in probably after this thing's welded on, and maybe after we get the hole cut out. And I don't know if I mentioned it in one of the last video or whatever, but the pump is, most of the pump is completely painted. Got 2 or 3 coats on everything, sanded in between coats, and it's a nice gloss black. Looks really nice actually. So yep. Yeah, maybe next time you see it, the pump will be sitting in it. That'd be kind of neat, right? Alright, thanks for watching.